Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something straight from the heart. Excuses, they're easy. Excuses are comfortable. Excuses will always show up when you're about to do something great. They'll whisper in your ear, "Not today, you're tired, you're not ready, it's too hard." And if you listen to that voice, you'll stay exactly where you are, stuck. But hear me now, winners don't live in excuses. Winners live in action, because the truth is, nobody cares about your excuses. Life doesn't care, the world doesn't care. You can have results, or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. I remember a time when I stood at a crossroads in my life. No guarantees, no certainty, just a dream and a choice. And let me tell you, that choice was simple. Sit back and complain, or get up and do something about it. And I chose action, not because it was easy, not because I wasn't afraid. I chose action because my dream was bigger than my fear. So, I'm asking you right now, what's holding you back? What excuse have you been feeding yourself? I don't have time. I'm too old. I don't have the resources. Let me tell you this, somebody with less time, less money, less education is out there winning. Why? Because they refuse to make excuses. If you want something, you have to fight for it. You have to be willing to work when others sleep. You have to be willing to push when it hurts, to keep going when it feels like the world is against you. That's the price of greatness, and let me leave you with this. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Stop waiting for things to get easier. That day is not coming. The only day you have is today, right now, this moment. So take that dream, take that goal, take that vision, and just do it. No excuses, because the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't, it's not talent, it's not luck, it's the decision to act. So make that decision right now. No more excuses. Just do it. Excuses are one of the most powerful traps that hold people back from reaching their true potential. They creep into the mind quietly, making us feel justified for not doing what we know we should do. They sound reasonable, even comforting. When you wake up late and tell yourself you didn't have enough time to work out, it feels like a valid reason. When you put off starting a business because you claim you need more resources, it sounds logical in your head. Excuses always have a way of disguising themselves as truth, but the reality is they are chains that keep us stuck in the same place. Every time we allow an excuse to control us, we are giving away our power and letting fear dictate the direction of our life. The danger of excuses is that they don't look dangerous at all. They feel safe because they keep you from facing challenges, failure, or discomfort. But that safety is an illusion. It's like staying inside during a storm, thinking you're protected, but the storm is inside your house. Every excuse you make takes away an opportunity for growth. It kills discipline before it even starts. It shuts down dreams before they have a chance to breathe. Excuses rob you of progress, and the worst part is that they do it silently. You won't even notice at first because the damage isn't immediate. It happens over time. Day after day, you let one excuse slip in, then another, and before you know it, a year has passed and you're still in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. People don't realize how dangerous that cycle is. One excuse leads to another, and soon it becomes a habit. You start to believe your own stories. I'm too tired. I don't have enough money. I'm not ready. These are not facts. They are fears dressed up as logic. Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid doing the hard things that lead to success. And the truth is, those hard things are never going to feel easy. You will always feel tired some days. You will never feel 100% ready. You might not have all the resources right now. But waiting for the perfect conditions is another excuse. Perfection doesn't exist. Action does. The reason excuses feel so strong is because they are tied to comfort. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it destroys growth in the long run. Every successful person you admire had 1,000 chances to make excuses, but they refused. They acted anyway. They showed up when they didn't feel like it. They pushed through fear and doubt instead of feeding it with excuses. That is why they made it. The only difference between them and the person who stayed stuck is the decision to act without giving in to excuses. Winners understand a simple truth. You cannot hold on to excuses and results. At the same time, life demands a choice, and that choice determines everything. Excuses may feel comforting, but they do nothing for progress. They don't change your situation. They don't bring you closer to your goals, and they certainly don't make your dreams a reality. What excuses do is give you temporary relief from the discomfort of effort. When you say, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I'm too busy," you remove the immediate pressure, but you also remove the possibility of success. Winners refuse to give themselves that option. They understand that results come only from consistent, deliberate action. They decide to take control instead of letting excuses control them. When you choose action over excuses, you're choosing growth over stagnation. It's not an easy decision because excuses are always the easy way out. They tell you what you want to hear, that you're not ready, that you need more time, that conditions aren't perfect. But nothing in life will ever be perfect. There will never be a time when everything aligns, when every challenge disappears, when you feel completely prepared. If you wait for that moment, you'll be waiting forever. Winners know this, so they stop negotiating with their excuses. They stop looking for reasons not to act and start finding ways to make it happen. The truth is, action feels uncomfortable at first. It requires effort, energy, and courage. It means stepping into the unknown, risking failure, and facing resistance. But that's where results live, beyond the excuses, beyond the comfort zone. Every time you push past an excuse and take action, you build strength. You build discipline. You build momentum. And momentum is the greatest enemy of excuses, because once you start moving, it becomes harder to stop. That is why winners never give excuses a voice in their lives. They drown them out with action. Excuses and results cannot exist together because they come from two different mindsets. Excuses come from fear, from doubt, from a desire to stay comfortable. Results come from courage, persistence, and an unshakable belief that progress is better than perfection. The people who achieve their goals are not the ones who never feel fear or doubt. They are the ones who feel those things and take action anyway. They don't waste time explaining why something can't be done. They put their energy into figuring out how it can be done. They understand that the clock is ticking, and every moment spent making excuses is a moment lost forever. Choosing action over excuses is not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about making a decision every single day to move forward, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when every part of you wants to stop. Winners make that choice because they know that success does not come from talking about what could have been. It comes from doing and doing again, and doing until the dream becomes real. Life doesn't care about the reasons you couldn't show up. It doesn't care that you were tired, that circumstances weren't fair, or that someone else had more opportunities. The world only responds to results, not excuses. You can tell everyone why you didn't succeed, and they might nod politely, but in the end, nothing changes. Reality is harsh in that way. Effort without action produces nothing, and excuses produce even less. Success is not given based on good intentions or valid explanations. It's earned through persistence, consistency, and action. People often think that by explaining their struggles, they will somehow justify their lack of progress. But the truth is, progress doesn't need an explanation. It needs execution. Life moves forward whether you act or not. Time will pass. Opportunities will appear and disappear. And while you are busy listing reasons why now is not the right time, someone else is using the same 24 hours to build their dream. They may face more challenges than you, but they refuse to let those challenges become an excuse. That is the difference. Every person has obstacles. Some have more than others, but nobody has a perfect path. The belief that your situation is uniquely difficult is another excuse disguised as truth. There are countless stories of people who started with nothing, who faced incredible adversity, and still found a way to win. They didn't wait for life to make it easy for them. They didn't expect the world to feel sorry for them. They understood that success is indifferent to excuses. It doesn't matter if you are young or old, rich or poor, educated or not. What matters is what you do with what you have right now. The reason life doesn't care about excuses is simple. Excuses don't create results. They don't feed your family. They don't build your career. They don't improve your health. Action does. The person who shows up every day, even when they don't feel like it, will always be ahead of the person who spends time explaining why they couldn't. You can either spend time justifying your lack of action, or use that same time to take one small step forward. One choice moves you closer to your goal. The other keeps you standing still while the world moves on without you. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself what you want more: the comfort of excuses or the reality of results. Because life will not adjust itself to fit your excuses. It will not slow down because you weren't ready. It will not bend the rules because you had a hard time. Life keeps going, and the people who win are the ones who keep going with it. They accept the challenges, they push through the pain, and they take action no matter what. That is the only way to succeed, because the truth will never change. Excuses don't count. Only results do. Success always begins with a decision, a personal choice that changes everything. It doesn't come from luck. It doesn't come from waiting for the right moment, and it certainly doesn't come from complaining about what you don't have. It comes when you decide to act even though fear is screaming in your ear and uncertainty is standing in your way. That choice is powerful because it shifts your focus from what you can't control to what you can. You can't control the economy, you can't control how other people treat you, and you can't control every circumstance, but you can control your effort, your mindset, and your willingness to take the first step. That's where success begins, with the decision to move forward despite the risk. Every great story starts with someone making that kind of decision. Nobody who accomplished something extraordinary waited for permission or perfect conditions. They felt the fear, they saw the challenges, and they moved anyway. That's what separates those who achieve from those who stay stuck. Fear will always be there. Doubt will always try to convince you that you're not ready. The question is whether you will allow those voices to decide your future, or whether you will decide it for yourself. Because every time you let fear win, you shrink your possibilities. Every time you choose action over fear, you expand your life in ways you never imagined. When you make the decision to act, you unlock opportunities that were invisible before. People often say, "I'm waiting for the right opportunity." But the truth is opportunities reveal themselves to those who move. The moment you take that first step, doors start to open. It may not be the door you expected, but movement creates momentum, and momentum attracts possibilities. That is why indecision is so costly. While you're hesitating, someone else is taking action, and that person will reap the rewards that could have been yours. The choice to act despite fear and uncertainty is not just about achieving goals, it's about becoming stronger. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow. You develop resilience, confidence, and the ability to handle challenges. That growth is more valuable than the goal itself, because it shapes who you are and what you're capable of in the future. Success is not a single event. It's a series of decisions that compound over time, and it all starts with the first one, the choice to begin. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need to decide that you're going to take one step, and then another, and then another. That decision is the foundation for everything you want. The moment you make it, your life changes because you're no longer controlled by fear or circumstances. You're driven by purpose, and purpose will always lead you farther than excuses ever could. There is always someone out there who has less than you, less time, less money, fewer resources, fewer connections, and yet they are making progress. They are achieving things that most people only dream about. They don't have the perfect circumstances, but they refuse to let that become an excuse. They use what they have, no matter how small, and they make it work. That should tell you something important. Success is not about having everything. It's about using everything you already have. Too many people waste time waiting for ideal conditions, believing they need more before they can start, while others with far less are taking action and moving forward. The truth is, resources are never the real problem. The real problem is mindset. If you believe you can't succeed because you lack something, then you've already lost. There are people who started businesses with no money, athletes who trained without proper facilities, writers who wrote books on borrowed paper. What they had in common was the decision to stop making excuses and start taking action. They believed that progress mattered more than perfection, that effort mattered more than comfort. That belief made them unstoppable. When you look at people who achieve greatness despite having less, you realize that excuses are a luxury you can't afford. Every time you tell yourself you can't do something because of what you don't have, you're choosing to stay stuck. The person with fewer resources doesn't have that luxury. They know that nobody is coming to save them, so they figure it out. They learn to adapt, to improvise, to create opportunities where none seem to exist. That is why they win. Not because life was easier for them, but because they didn't let life's challenges become their excuses. What you have right now is enough to start. Maybe it's not enough to finish, but it's enough to begin. Waiting for more is another way of saying you're not willing to try. The truth is, starting creates momentum, and momentum brings resources you didn't have before. The person who takes the first step discovers new doors, meets new people, and learns new skills. That's how growth happens. The one who refuses to start because everything isn't perfect never experiences any of that. They stay in the same place, telling themselves the same story, while others with less keep moving ahead. The next time you think you don't have enough, remember this: someone else out there has less and is doing more. They're running with what they've got, and every day they're getting closer to their dream while you're waiting for conditions that may never come. Success doesn't belong to the person who has the most. It belongs to the person who makes the most out of what they have. That choice is always yours, and it starts the moment you stop saying "I can't" and start asking, What can I do right now with what I have? Greatness does not come without sacrifice. It demands more than the average effort, more than the minimum required. It asks for your time, your energy, and sometimes your comfort. Many people dream of success, but very few are willing to pay the price it takes to achieve it. That price often includes working when you would rather rest, staying focused when distractions seem endless, and pushing forward when everything in you wants to quit. The road to greatness is not smooth. It is filled with obstacles, setbacks, and moments that test your patience and strength. Those moments separate the ones who only talk about success from those who actually live it. Sacrifice means giving up what is easy for what is necessary. It means choosing discipline over pleasure and purpose over comfort. While others are sleeping, the person who wants greatness is awake, putting in the work. While others are wasting time on things that don't matter, that person is investing time into their dream. This is why the path to greatness feels lonely at times. Not everyone will understand why you're working so hard, why you're saying no to parties, why you're spending hours improving your craft. But you're not doing it for their understanding. You're doing it because you know what it takes to reach your goal. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, when the effort seems too much and the results feel too far away. This is when sacrifice becomes even more important. Anyone can work when things are easy, but true character is revealed when you keep going through pain and struggle. Those who achieve greatness are the ones who keep moving forward even when progress is slow, even when nobody is clapping, even when they feel tired and discouraged. That willingness to endure separates the achievers from the dreamers. Sacrifice also means patience. Greatness does not happen overnight. It is built through years of consistent effort, and that requires saying no to instant gratification. It means turning down the temptation of shortcuts and quick wins, because you understand that real success is built on a strong foundation. Every hour you dedicate, every distraction you ignore, every challenge you push through adds to that foundation. And one day, that foundation becomes unshakable because it was built on persistence and sacrifice. When you look at the people who inspire you, the ones who have achieved extraordinary things, know that behind their success are countless hours of unseen work, sleepless nights, and hard choices. They gave up comfort to gain greatness. That is the price, and it never changes. The question is whether you are willing to pay it, because success will never discount the price for anyone. If you want it, you must be ready to sacrifice for it again and again. Until the reward becomes bigger than anything you gave up, there will never be a perfect moment to start. Waiting for everything to align is one of the most common traps people fall into, and it keeps them stuck for years. People tell themselves they'll begin when they have more money, when they have more time, when the conditions feel right. But life doesn't work that way. There is always going to be something standing in the way, an obstacle, a challenge, a reason to delay. If you keep waiting for perfect timing, you will never move. Progress comes from starting before you feel ready, because readiness is an illusion. It doesn't come before action, it comes after. The truth is, starting now is the only real advantage you can give yourself. Every day you wait is a day lost. While you're waiting for the stars to align, someone else is out there making progress with less than what you have. They're not waiting for the right mood or the right circumstances. They're moving forward, and that movement gives them momentum. Momentum is everything because it builds confidence, and confidence builds results. You cannot create momentum by standing still, and you cannot stand still while expecting your dreams to grow. People often convince themselves that they're being practical when they delay, but most of the time it's fear disguised as preparation. Fear tells you that you're not ready yet, that you need to know more, have more, or do more before you can begin. But the reality is, no amount of waiting will eliminate fear. You have to move with it. You have to take the first step despite it. That's how every success story begins. The person who launched a business didn't start because everything was guaranteed to work. The athlete who became a champion didn't wait until every condition was perfect. They started where they were, with what they had, and figured out the rest along the way. The idea of a perfect moment is comforting because it gives you permission to delay responsibility. It makes you feel like you're making a smart choice by waiting, but in truth, it's just procrastination wearing a mask. Time will never create the perfect conditions. Action creates them. Every step forward reveals opportunities you couldn't see before. Every effort you make, even if it feels small, brings you closer to your goal than standing still ever will. The only thing guaranteed by waiting is that nothing changes. Your dreams don't move closer, your skills don't improve, and your confidence doesn't grow. Everything you want is on the other side of starting, and the longer you wait, the further it feels. That's why the best time to act is now, not when life feels easier, not when you feel ready, but now, in this moment, with all your imperfections, all your doubts, and all your fears. Because action, not timing, is what creates success. And the people who understand that will always be the ones who win. One of the biggest reasons people fail to reach their goals is because they spend their lives waiting for someone else to believe in them. They wait for approval, for encouragement, for a sign that they are good enough. But success doesn't work that way. Nobody is coming to give you permission. Nobody is going to hand you the confidence you're searching for. That responsibility belongs to you. The truth is, if you don't believe in yourself, it won't matter how much others believe in you, because you will always doubt and hesitate. Self-belief is the foundation for everything you want, and it starts with the decision to trust yourself even when things feel uncertain. Taking responsibility for your life means letting go of the idea that someone else will make things happen for you. It means understanding that your progress is not in their hands, it's in yours. Waiting for someone to push you forward will keep you stuck, because people have their own lives, their own dreams, their own challenges. You cannot rely on external motivation forever. The most powerful motivation comes from within, and it begins when you stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth. You are capable, but you have to believe that first before anyone else can see it. Self-belief doesn't mean you will never feel doubt. It doesn't mean you will always feel strong. It means you trust yourself enough to take action despite the fear. You tell yourself, I may not have all the answers, but I will figure it out. That mindset changes everything because it turns every obstacle into a challenge instead of a dead end. When you believe in yourself, failure doesn't scare you as much because you know it's part of the process. Without that belief, every setback feels like proof that you should give up. Responsibility is another part of this equation. When you accept full responsibility for where you are and where you want to go, you stop blaming circumstances, people, or luck. You stop saying, I can't because of them, and start asking, what can I do to change this? That question is powerful because it puts you in control.